Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Saturday Anything Goes. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. If you joined me the other night, you got to see a few of the goodies that are in the new 2019-2020 Stampin' Up! Catalog. I think I showed you like 5 different stamp sets. But we oohed and awed over the one that we're going to use today, and that is the Floral Essence Suite. It consists of the stamp set, and you know I love floral, so who wouldn't want this? A punch, and this beautiful paper, very reminiscent of oil paintings by Monet called Water Lilies. And just to celebrate that, look what you can make with this punch and the stamp set. Cute little water lily. Now, obviously that is way too thick to go on a card, but trust me, I'll find a use for it. So anyway, what I thought we would do is we're going to make 3 cards today. So I've already done all of the die cutting for it. To make this go a little quicker, but I wanted to show you how we can make 3 cards using a 4-inch by 12-inch strip of this beautiful DSP. And I actually cheated. I used a little bit more of it, but you'll see why in a minute. However, I mean, this is just not even, what, a third of a sheet. So you're going to get the best bang for your buck as far as being able to make lots of cards from this DSP. All right, so let's get started. Now, we're not going to use the punch today, so I'll put that out of the way. But let me just bring in our first card that we're going to make. And this one gives you, I guess, the largest piece of the DSP. So I really wanted to showcase it. And there are lots of different colors that go along with this. Let me just read it to you. This has Balmy Blue, Blackberry Bliss, Blueberry Bushel, Calypso Coral, Crushed Curry, Furry Flamingo, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Petal Pink, So Saffron, and Whisper White. And trust me, there are other colors besides, because if you look at the DSP, I can see some Highland Heather in there, and maybe a little Blushing Bride. So I really enjoyed the fact that I could just step outside of the colors that were listed. I did stay with the Petal Pink for our first card, and it's a top folding A2 card. I cut my DSP to be, it's a little over 4 1/4 by, I'm sorry, a little over 4 by 5 1/4. So I didn't want a whole bunch of the cardstock showing through, but I thought it made a nice frame. Now, remember I told you I cheated and used a little bit more of the DSP? Well, as I was getting ready to work out the sentiment, I realized there's really not a lot of white. So when I put a white strip in there, it just, I didn't like it. It just did not, it was so different. So I took a piece of the same DSP, because on the back side is this beautiful brushed pink, and I thought that is going to be just perfect. So we're going to stamp our sentiment on it, and the sentiment is going to be, oops, hang on, let me bring in my Stamparatus because I already have it mounted, and it's going to be sending well wishes your way. And I made sure, you can see here, I stamped it ahead of time to make sure it was going to be straight. So I just need to make sure that I put this sentiment panel in there. Now, don't recognize that die cut? Well, that's because the die cut is actually from the To a Wild Rose, the rose die, wild rose dies. And I used this one right here. If you caught my unboxing video, you know I said I really liked that die because you can build an entire card off of it. There's so much room to put not only your sentiment, but other things as well. So I'm going to ink this up. And the other thing I thought was, well, what color do I want to use? I could pick from any of these. I decided that I was going to go with the Blackberry Bliss. So I'll just pull that in here and ink up my stamp. All right. And I've mounted this to where it should stamp roughly in the center of my die cut. Give it a good press here. And I want it a little bit darker. As you can see, the Stamparatus is going to help me there because it's going to be in exactly the right spot for me to make another inking of it. Much better. All right, so we'll pull that away. Let me just clean off my stamp real quick, and we'll move the Stamparatus. All right. So this card's going to go together really quickly because we're going to straight glue this down with our multi-purpose liquid glue. Oop, empty. Good thing I got out a spare. I knew I was running dry. This is probably going to squirt out in a big old, yep, I've got to be sparing with it because it is just coming out like crazy. All right. And this is directional, so you'll want to make sure that you are placing it on your card front in the right way. Okay. We will pop up our sending well wishes. So let me bring in my Stampin' Dimensionals here. But Linda, you say there's an awful lot of bare space on that sentiment panel. Well, no fear, because I've done some die cuts that we're going to adorn it with. We're making just a little picture inside the oil painting. All right, so let me squish these off. Come on. I have gotten a really sticky batch of dimensionals. Okay, see if I can get this on there straight. So pardon my head if it gets in the way. But I'm thinking right there works. All right. So what I did was, if you look at the Floral Essence stamp set, you have an image that is just a line drawing that you can use your blends or markers to color in. That one as well. I went with these two that you only need to use the ink pad for, and they stamp up beautifully. Let me show you what that looks like. So there's the big one. And I also cut a couple of small ones. Now I fussy cut these, and it's really not difficult at all to fussy cut them. It goes really quickly. So I'm just going to build a little scene here. And then I wanted some greenery. Instead of punching out this leaf though, I wanted to keep it very soft. So I chose the feathery looking leaves, and I colored them in with Mossy Meadow Light and Mossy Meadow Dark. So this is going to allow us to build up a cute little scene. And as you can see, it's a good thing that I have quite a bit of space here to work with so that I can get everything in there. So I'll lay it out that way, and I'm going to make a couple of little adjustments here. Have my leaves come out a little bit further. So I think we're going to do it right like that. Now my leaves I'm going to glue down straight to the panel. So let me just get that done here. Okay, now the glue doesn't want to come out at all. There we go. Ooh, gloppy, gloppy. All right. And this one, I want the bigger flower down here. So I think right about there is going to work just fine. And I love the stitching on this die cut. I'm so happy we have more things that have a stitched edge to them. All right, and then I'll just position this the way I want it, making sure I don't cover up my sentiment there. And for my flowers, I will pop up, well, I have to pop up the bottom of these anyway, because I popped up the whole sentiment panel. So take it just about like that. Now I think I can get away with putting one up there too. It'll need a little bit of extra postage, but it'll be fine. I like the added dimension that gives. Okay. So off these come. I need to get one of those little Stampin' Up! Buckets for my desk to put all my scraps in, or all my trash. All right, so we said this one's going to sit right about there. Perfect. Now we can work on these. This one I am going to glue. Oh my goodness. Hang on. Let me wipe all of that off. Whew. All right. So this one we are going to glue straight down to there. And this one I will pop up. And it's mostly this upper part that needs to be popped up. But we'll put one on the bottom for good measure, if it'll fit. There we go. Come on. All right. And we'll just put this right there. For the last little touch, I think some Wink of Stella on the flowers will give it all it needs in the way of pizzazz. I'm not going to use any ribbon or any sequins. And you'll notice I did not stamp in the centers of the flowers or use our new little flower centers. I wanted it to be very soft. And there is our first card. I really, really like the way that DSP just gives all the color that's needed. All right, so that's number one. We'll put that one aside. Now let me pull in card number two. And for this, I am going to use one of the dies that is from the Good Morning Magnolia. And that is this one right here. What I did was I cut another length of the DSP, and then I just die cut the very edge of it to give it that decorative interest. So that's in your Good Morning Magnolia, or the dies that go with it. But I did want to show you that. And my sentiment comes from another and Grow. I'm going to use the thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then lastly, this is not new. It is Occasions and will be going away, but I thought I'd use it at least one more time because I cut the sentiment strip using this lovely frame. All right, so let's see what we can do here. Another thing is because the colors in this are just so beautiful, I was able to use one of our new in colors. This is Rococco Rose. I absolutely love, love, love that. All right, so this is how it's going to go together. We will put this, and I've embossed this. Actually, I take it back. I didn't use an embossing folder. I have a striped one somewhere, but I just couldn't find it. So all I did was lay this into my scoreboard, and I scored every ½ inch. Easy breezy. So we'll glue that straight down to the card base. And I chose Blackberry Bliss for the card base because it is a predominant color in this piece of DSP. So let's go ahead and put that down. And with an embossed or heavily scored piece of cardstock, you do want to make sure that you have a good coverage of the area with your adhesive. Scooch that over just a little, and there we go. All right, so what are we going to do with this? Well, this I've cut the cardstock and the DSP panel both the exact same width. So the only place you're going to see the Rococco Rose is in this bottom section. Let's go ahead and glue this down. I really, really did love the back side of this paper too. All right, so we'll glue that down. It's always so exciting when the new stuff comes out and you get to play with it for the first time. All right, so we've got that. For a sentiment strip, remember I said I used that frame from the wonderful Romance dies, and I used Blackberry Bliss to stamp the sentiment, but then I used the Rococco Rose just to sponge the little spiral area that's on the outside of that. And we'll go ahead and pop this up. Let's get my dimensionals out. And you see that I've left a pretty big blank space at the top. You'll see what that's for in a moment. I want to get this down first. Don't you just love that Rococco Rose? Oh, such a pretty color. Kind of a dusty mauve. Okay. So here we go. And you see where I've got this curve here? That kind of is my guideline for placing down my sentiment strip. Okay. Now, how am I going to take care of that part at the top that is pretty naked? Well, I stamped out the solid floral image in the Rococco Rose. And in this case, I did use So Saffron to stamp the flower center, and that's because you can see there's a pretty good amount of that color in the DSP. So I thought it would go well. And I fussy cut out the leaf, and that is going to go on there as well. So let's get this down, and I'm going to need dimensionals at the top and on the sides, and then the bottom will get some liquid glue. Guess I better take my backings off first, eh? And this time I'm not going to put my leaf down first because I want to make sure I get good placement of my rose. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to fall there. Just whatever looks good. All right, so I think what we'll do is put it right there. So that's why I put the dimensionals on those three sides, but liquid glue down at the bottom. And now I can take this and we'll just straight glue this down. Come on, there we go. slide that in right here, just like that. And just like we did with the other one, I'm going to pull out the Wink of Stella, and we'll give this a good little wash of it. That extra little sparkle is just so pretty. Oop, I think my Wink of Stella is almost done here. Might have to order another one, but we'll get through this. All right, so there we have card number 2. Going along pretty quickly here, but we've got one more to do. And this may be my very favorite one. Here, I have the bottom piece of that panel that I cut with the that pretty kind of a scallop die from the Morning Magnolia set. And so that gives me a nice decorative edge. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but it also embossed a line there. And because there's a lot of Calypso coral showing through on this piece, that's the card base that I chose, was Calypso coral. But it looked pretty stark with just those two together. We have some new colored vellum that goes with the Floral Essence Suite. And this is a piece of the Petal Pink. And you might think, well, how's Petal Pink going to go with the Calypso coral? It goes very, very well because it picks up some of that warmth by the card base showing through the bottom. And we know the vellum is kind of hard to adhere without the liquid glue showing through. But what we're going to do is I'm going to glue the bottom part first. And that'll give us places where we can put glue on the back of the vellum without it showing through. Somebody said glue dots are also good, but I haven't tried that yet. So I'll just put a goodly amount here and place that onto the vellum, which is cut exactly the same width as the DSP. All right, so there we go. And I think I'm probably even going to pop this up. So let's work on getting everything else on here. Now, I took the sentiment from Floral Essence. I think it's just beautiful. All days are beautiful that begin with you. And here I was okay using white, again, because there are some places that are pretty, have that color in it. Is white an actual color? Anyway, so that is what my sentiment panel is. And I didn't sponge it. I felt like with the colored vellum behind it, that was really all it needed. And of course, you know, I had to have some leaves and had to have some flowers here. But I don't like having just 2 flowers. We need 3. And I didn't do that because I thought we would stamp the next one together. So I'll take the smaller of the solid images and put that on there. We're going to make some magic happen. I've got a piece of Whisper White, and then the color that I stamped was another one of our new in colors, and that's the Terracotta Tile. So let me bring that out. I really do like this color. Come on, pad. Oh, new pads. Got to warm them up a little bit. All right. So we'll just stamp that down. Beautiful, beautiful. And then it will dry a little bit lighter than that. There's no dye for it. So we're just going to fussy cut it out. But before I do that, I need to stamp the center. So let me bring in my So Saffron and get out the little stamp for it. Now, this completely round one is for use within the line drawing one. And you've got two other centers, and you just kind of have to look at it. This is the bigger center. If you look here, that is wider than that. So that tells me that I need to use the die that, the stamp that matches it. And if you're ever not sure, just pull it out and put it in there. And if it fits, then you know that's the right one. So hopefully I picked the right one here. And then, pardon my head if it gets in the way, you just stamp it down. Perfect. Easy, easy, easy. All right, so let me put those two stamps aside. And now that that ink has dried, I will pull out my snips. Hello, Anne. It does come with a punch, and that's this one right here that punches out this image. So you stamp this and then you punch it out. And if you do it multiple times, and I'll show you, I had fun. This is using 2 layers, and I colored them different colors. And that's the new fuzzy bit, if you will, that you can use for a center. But I kind of went crazy and said, how many can I get? I made a water lily using 5 of the punches. Isn't that cute? I just love it. All right, let me quickly fussy cut this out, and you'll see how easy it is. You let the scissors and the paper do the work. As you can see, I am just moving the paper along, kind of pulling it with me, trying not to, I don't want a white edge, so I'm trying to stay very close to the edge without trimming too much of it off. So we don't want to lose our design, or we wouldn't be able to tell what it is. All right. So, and when I get here and the scissors get too hard to move around, just cut that piece off, come back in and finish it up. And there we go. Easy breezy. So it doesn't take long at all if you want to fussy cut the image. Okay, so let's bring this back. I'm going to, do I want to pop that up? It'll certainly make it easier to get the flowers and things in. So the answer is, we are. I'm going to pop that whole thing up. Come on, let go my ego. There we go. Oh, you're going to love this set, Anne. You really will. Okay. Get this centered. And again, I'm kind of using this area right here that's a central point to line it up. Kind of half on and half off. Okay, now let's have some fun. Where do I want my flowers? Do I want the small ones at the top like we did the other one? And I think the answer to that question is yes. So let's get these on there. And again, I'm popping everything up. So this is another one that you'd have to pay extra postage for. Luckily, I know enough people around here, I can just hand it to them. Okay. So we'll pop this one up, making sure that you can still see my sentiment. That one I think I'm going to glue straight down. But where do I want my leaf? If I put it there, you're not going to be able to see much of it. This is always what takes me the most time, figuring out where I'm putting everything. So I could do that. And then what would we do here? Oh, that would be awful pretty. I think that's what we're going to do. So I'll straight glue this down. And it's mostly the bottom part that needs it. So I'll just slide that in like that. And then I just need glue on the very bottom of my leaves here. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to try and slide that in without getting glue everywhere. Come on. Oh, for pity's sake. Maybe I should have put this down first. There we go. All right. So we got that one. And let's do dimensionals on the bottom of this and glue on the top. Otherwise, it just, if you try to put dimensionals all over and you've got that many layers, it ends up having a little bump. So it doesn't look nice and flat. All right, so this, again, I don't want to obscure my sentiment. And then this, we're going to go right under there. Okay, now I have lots of places where I can put adhesive and it shouldn't show. So let's do that. Make sure I got it opening the right way. Yes, I do. And it'll just have like 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Now, if the corners of your vellum start popping up, what I would suggest is maybe taking some rhinestones or something and putting them in strategic spots where you could lift the vellum and glue down behind them. But mine is laying nice and flat, so not going to worry about it. Let's give these a shot with our Wink of Stella. Squeeze a little bit. See, yeah, there we go. Just needed a squeeze. And this really makes those flowers look great. I'm just doing the petals, not the center. And I'm not going to apply it to the leaves either. The flowers are plenty. All right, there we have our third card. So we used a strip of the DSP that is 4 inches wide by 12 inches, and we're able to get 3 cards out of just that amount. I love, love, love this suite, and I know you're going to as well. Thank you, Anne. All right, well, that's everything that I wanted to show you about using the Floral Essence. And if you have any questions, please drop me a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer them. If you're not already signed up under a demonstrator within Stampin' Up!, I'd be more than happy to help you with your order. Again, just leave me a comment. I'll try to get these up on YouTube today and on my blog tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and a happy, happy Easter tomorrow. Bye-bye now.